Hello there and welcome. Well, today I want to talk a little bit about key operators. There are 3 key operators that can make your life tremendously easier if you have good working relationships with them. The first 2 are essential. The third is simply helpful but still can really affect your experience as a professional. So, why am I telling you about these key operators? Because I've known about them my whole life. But most teachers never hear about key operators in the building because it's just not something, it seems like, that our training situations discuss. So, key operators. The first key operator you need to have a positive working relationship with is the custodian in charge of cleaning your room. Now, this may seem just a little bit silly, but it's in fact quite important. Your custodian definitely affects the quality of your life, and your custodian is very much aware of what you're doing in your room. So it's important for you to hang around after school or show up early before school when your custodian works, introduce yourself, make sure you learn his or her name, and make sure you let them know that you're interested in working positively with them. If you're going to use crafts, it's a good idea to let your custodian know, I'm going to be using some crafts and I may need to borrow some extra cleaning equipment because of that. I've always known that being friends with a custodian is helpful. And I've had some awesome people clean my classroom. The last person who cleaned my classroom was the most delightful woman. Her name was Helen, and she was perfect. She kept the room absolutely pristine. And she dusted things and she cleaned things way beyond what anybody would expect a standard custodian to do. She was really terrific. The worst custodian I ever had was still a pretty good custodian, although it turned out that he was involved in a drug ring and actually in the building to sell dope. But I digress. So, make friends with your custodian. Make sure that you show that you respect their effort and that you want to make sure that your room and the work your students do is not too big a burden. Occasionally, a custodian may ask you to help if you become friends with them. That's okay. Helping is a good thing. We all know that. The second key operator that you absolutely must make friends with and help and encourage is the chief administrative assistant in your building. Now, in most public schools, that means the principal's secretary. I've had a number of principal's secretaries in my life. For one thing, my father was a principal and he had secretaries. So I knew them too. All of the ones that I've known have been women, although I'm sure there are male principal secretaries out there. But the chief administrative assistant in the building is part of what makes any school function. That person is the crossroads for information and for the state of things in any building. That is the person that knows first when somebody's in crisis. That is whether they're a student or a teacher or an administrator. That is the person that has contact with every other department in the building. So you need to have a positive and working relationship with that administrative assistant. I always just worked during a time when people called them the principal's secretaries. But I must say that I respected the ones I served with, and some of them were some of the very best educators you ever want to meet because they're not training young people, they're training administrators. And that's a big, difficult job, and they don't get paid anything extra for it. The third person that I suggest you develop a key working relationship with is a regular substitute. Now, I've already interviewed my brother Brian, who works as a substitute teacher, and we've talked about it. You cannot be sure who's going to be assigned to your room if you're going to miss class. However, most districts will allow you to contact particular subs if you really like to have them in your room. If you find a sub you can trust and who is someone who will share with you what's really going on, and someone who's willing to teach class as well as give tests, that's the sub you want in your room. It's nice to have a consistent personality who takes your place when you're gone. So, those three key operators: your custodian, your principal's your principal's administrative assistant, and a good, repeat, and dependable sub. If you want your work to focus on your work, and you want to be less prone to being caught up in crises and politics, these are the three people you really need to work with positively and try to be friendly with. That's it for today. I hope I see you again soon, or no. What I say is, I hope you see me again soon. You gorgeous people.